I feel like in reality, Beatrice would have been like, just like staring like straight ahead. Like, I feel like that's like, she's like one of those people that is in an airplane and doesn't listen to music or watch a movie. Right? Just stare straight at the scene in front of them for 5 hours.
They should have shot the father of the bride speech in full. Oh God, they grow up so fast, don't they? Yeah, don't I know it? Anyway, no, it's great to be here. Obviously,
well, not so great, you know. Sorry. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. But
this is my second public speaking engagement of the month. Let's hope it goes better than the last one. Anyway,
he definitely said that for real. He definitely said that, and everyone laughed. Every single person definitely laughed because I looked up like Beatrice after this, and I'm like, what? Like, did she like cut him off or something? And every single article is like, she's so torn.
Of course she did. She's gonna get fucking hip dysplasia in a couple of years or whatever. Like,
you might have heard that there's a woman coming after me for my money, but enough about this wedding.
Milo, do you write Prince Andrew's father of the bride speech?
I should.
So good. This is fire.
Yeah. No one's applying for that job.
So can I say, by the way, my other favorite scene, I have so many favorite scenes, is like Prince Andrew deals with the guilt of being relieved from his royal duties, which is just like, he's still Prince Andrew. He's just not like ribbon cutting anymore. By like running to the kitchen and cleaning a dish.
Yeah, I quite like this bit that he's shit at doing dishes because he's never done it before. And so he's just kind of like yelling at his stuff, furiously scrubbing this giant baking tray and getting water everywhere. I kind of like this. Also, I like the idea of applying for the job as Andrew's like joke writer and trying to get him on like Have I Got News for You as a guest host as the first step back.
I'm going on the Have a Word podcast.
All I can picture is Anthony Jeselnik like auditioning to be Prince Andrew's joke writer and being like, the last kid I raped fucking sucked. I didn't even call.
Prince Andrew should start his own podcast called Mummy's Basement. It's like him and Lawrence Fox and Gary Glitter.
I mean, wouldn't it be called like Call Me Mummy or something? And it would just be like
Mummy.
Yes, call her mummy. Call her mummy. Angry with an exclamation point and an angry emoji right after. Call her mummy.
Andrew, you've got to stop doing this podcast. We're getting complaints. People have said it's choogy. For real. They say you've got no riz. Yeah, people on TikTok.
Andrew, you have to stop taking calls because people keep calling you a mummy's boy and you keep calling them a mummy's boy in response, and it's not fascinating listening.
They're saying you're cringe, Andrew.
You're not very base at all, Andrew. Milo Yiannopoulos, this is his next big like pickup for his.
The denouement of the whole thing is then the question of like, oh, is Emily Maitlis now too guilty from embarrassing Prince Andrew to continue on being a journalist on Newsnight? And what will Prince Andrew do now that he's like had to wash one dish one time? And like, because they're like, we have to fill another half hour.
There's a completely implausible bit where the Queen's like private secretary, fucking George Smiley, shows up to deliver the epic royal clapback to Andrew. But because he's doing the like, you know, where will I go? What will I do thing? And this guy is like, you have to live with the consequences of your actions in this completely dark room where they can't even afford to have somebody make the tea and nobody knows how to make it themselves.
Oh yeah, that's so funny when the woman goes, I'd offer you a cup of tea, but we've had to let all the staff go. It's like, obviously I couldn't possibly make tea myself. That would be insane.
I don't know where it is in the alphabet.
Lift a kettle? I've got sciatica.
For the listeners who haven't watched this and don't, if you're listening to this, do not watch this. I really cannot stress enough how dark this is, like visually. It is impossible to see what's going on at any point. It is like, I genuinely like twice thought that I was like, there's no way my TV brightness isn't accidentally all the way down. It was just fully up. I turned it all the way up and it didn't help at all.
It's it's not well done in so many ways.
They're trying to fit it into the new like Batman TV show universe, where everything is still dark in that TV.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, they basically have Michael Sheen wearing a sort of Colin Farrell amount of prosthetics in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, why did Michael Sheen agree? Like, Michael Sheen is like an actually good actor.
I don't know if he is, though. I'm going to be real. This might be controversial.
He's played Tony Blair lots of times. Why?
He's been good in other things, but in this, well, the same with Ruth Morgan.
He's the go-to like British main guy who's also a character actor guy that they go. It's like, oh, we couldn't get Steve Coogan. Let's go to the second person in the role.
He's kicking the shit out of Ruth Wilson as mateless. I don't know what Ruth Wilson was smoking.
I guess I guess the Twilight money sort of ran out, and he's got a mortgage to pay still. So
I love him. That's the only thing I've ever liked him in Twilight. Honestly, I remember when I was 12, I rented the movie The Damned United on just for no reason on
That's an
iTunes.
interesting choice.
Like in Buffalo, New York, like a little gay little 12-year-old for no reason watching The Damned United, doesn't even follow soccer or know any. I was like, damn is in the title. That's cool as fuck. And I was like, this movie fucking blows. Dude, this is so boring.
But so the back half of the last episode, which they're just trying to find stuff to talk about. They're like, okay, well, I guess the drama now is going to be, will Prince Andrew get extradited? Will it go to trial? Are they just going to pay the hush money? And again, we know what happens, but in order to make it dramatic,
they pay the hush money because of Princess Beatrice doing the like lean in girl boss thing as well.
Yes.
Prince Andrew is desperate to go to trial to clear his name, but also it becomes a kind of like farce comedy because he has to run away from process servers. But that's very easy because he's surrounded by guards all the time.
That's the sole moment of like drama they can muster up in the third episode, beyond like kind of cynically hitting you with, oh, by the way, Emily Maitlis had a stalker, is to be like, oh, you have to leave the house now in case you get like subpoenaed.
Yeah.
Then officers of the court in full ghillie suits trying to track down Prince Andrew on the Balmoral estate. Listen, Soap, we've got to serve these papers to Prince Andrew.
I know what color the boathouse at Hereford was. I was there.
Dark. It's very dark in here. They've turned off all the lamps. Put on your night vision goggles.
What I also think is funny is that this uses an exact shot from Sicario, but instead of driving a Mexican drug lord out of Mexico to Texas, they're doing the overhead drone tracking shot with the like low drone music of Prince Andrew running away from a process server.
No, and honestly, the thing is that for real is probably, as depicted in this movie, the realest danger facing him, because it's so clear that obviously the royal family has the power to stop that from happening, but it seems for a little bit in this that they have just decided not to. They're like, if they get you, whatever, we can't help.
Just
You're on
Prince
your
Charles
own.
being like, skill issue.
Yes, he's like, who's gonna tie my shoes?
I mean,
please?
yes, the timeline where Prince Andrew gets extradited to the US is just like a very funny one. Like Prince Andrew in some kind of like federal prison. I've been invited to join the Latin Kings. I explained that I'm a prince already. I'm not sure if that's a
The other thing I love is like to have to, as Emily Maitlis like leaves her job of news reading to become a podcaster, and like they make actual mugs that Emily gives to her team with a picture of like Michael Sheen as Prince Andrew on it with like a meme font that's like no sweat or whatever.
Yeah, no sweat. Just to make sure that this woman who we've seen is like very conflicted about this is still ultimately like a kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, I would love, number one, if you're listening to this and you work at Amazon Prime MGN Studios, I want the mug with Michael Sheen
I think
on it.
the worst part about this is using the like actual Virginia Giuffre footage instead of like casting someone as her.
It's vile. I truly, I have it in my notes that hang on.
Like if you're going to use it at
really
all.
one of the most vile scenes in recent memory. Prince Andrew's daughter heroically deciding to get married while watching the Virginia Giuffre Panorama interview. And by the way, that's why they got the information from Panorama. Clearly they don't have very high standards for giving their shit to people, because they gave this interview to this fucking
God, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they got that information. They're like, oh, Panorama never gives anything to us. This image of like BBC shows as being like the FBI and the CIA and the NSA before 9/11. Like
everyone's now all wrapped up. We have a long shot of Prince Andrew looking sad and mournfully in the distance. And by the way, we know like he's fine. He's back to his royal duties. He was walking in the Queen's funeral. Like even the small things that could have happened to him, we know from the last time we did this exact show didn't happen to him.
Yeah, it doesn't thread the needle of like, I'm sure he was very upset, but like not because anything consequential really happened.